Hello and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. So, on Tuesday I had quite an interesting game. I was playing against a Skyhammer and I was using Pure Infantry Guard, and it was the most netlist Skyhammer you can come across. You know, grav everywhere, flamers everywhere. You know, melter gun, multi-melters. You know the list. It was Skyhammer with loads of pods, and then he took a CAD, which he then took tactical marines in pods. You know, like it was crazy. But what I was going to say was, in my list, I went very Psyker heavy. I took 3 Primaire Psychers level 2, Co-TS level 2, and 2 Astropaths. And actually, this was actually a bit of a downside because I was rolling Prescience as much as I could, but it restricted my bodies. So at 1850, I was only running about 200 guys, which just frankly just wasn't enough against a list that can pull out that kind of alpha strike. You know, when I should have realised, I was just trying as, a very psych heavy list, but thinking back 2020 hindsight, what I should have taken was a lot more conscripts, because I only had 2 blobs of conscripts and 3 regular blobs, and I should have had 3, maybe 4 blobs of conscripts and, 3, maybe 4 blobs, less psychic powers, and just ground him down, because it's all well and good me twin linking, but I didn't actually have that much firepower to fucking twin link. Anyway, what got me though was my opponent was mortally afraid of my Astropaths. And I wasn't really. It was a friendly. It was a competitive list, but a friendly game. So I wasn't really paying attention. I was just thinking, why is he so afraid of these Astropaths? And he did everything he could to make sure he got both my Astropaths turns 1 and 2. And the reason he was terrified of them is because of Psychic Shriek. And this is what this video is going to be about. Because Psychic Shriek, I don't know if I'm going to actually spend a bit of time talking about how this could be. This power could really, really help Guard, because it's been changed in the new FAQ. The new FAQ simply states that Psychic Shriek does not need to roll to hit, which suddenly gets very good, because Guardsmen and Astropaths are only ballistic skill 3. So you'd only be hitting with Psychic Shriek half the time, but now we don't need to roll to hit. Now we automatically hit. And Psychic Shriek, the reason my opponent was so afraid of Psychic Shriek is because he pointed out to me that while Space Marines, which are one of the top tier armies out there, have absolutely amazing leadership on their heroes, they're bog standard Billy basic dudes are only leadership 8. And no one pays for the Veteran Sergeant upgrade. No one pays for it because it's 10 points. So they're always leadership 8. And something like the average roll on Psychic Shriek is 11.5, which means against Space Marines you're always going to be doing 3 to 4 wounds with a single Psychic Shriek, and that's fantastic. Now, unfortunately for Guard, this was pointed out by one of my commenters, so thank you very much whoever said this. Primaire Psychers can't get access to telepathy where Psychic Shriek is located. So the only places we have in the Guard Codex for telepathy are Astropaths, and unfortunately these guys are 1 wound. They're easy to pick out because you can only get them in 5-man command squads. They're not a good delivery system. Astropaths are more like human batteries than they are actually a human power supply rather than actually you want them as your primary psychers, as your primary psychic powers. So that's my point out, but it also got me realising, so just to continue on before I move on, it also got me realising that because Psychic Shriek no longer needs to roll to hit, if we spam this power against invisible Death Stars, we can probably clean out a lot of the invisible Death Star easily. Let's take a Wolfstar, for example, or Wolfenstar. Wolfenstar seems all the rage at the moment, but Wolf or Wolfenstar, they're going to have characters in there, which means generally they're going to be on leadership 10. So rather than doing 3 to 4 wounds, you're going to be doing 1 to 2 wounds on average. But sometimes you'll get lucky. Sometimes you'll get that 666. Because I should probably explain what Psychic Shriek actually is. It's the Primaire's power for telepathy. It's Warp Charge 1. It's got an 18-inch range. You roll 3d6, subtract the target's leadership, and that's how many wounds that unit takes. Okay? Simple as that. They cannot take armor or cover saves against these wounds. They can take invulnerable saves, which is, against with units that have got 3+ invulnerable saves, starts losing some of its power. But don't forget, you can hit these things from multiple angles, and maybe, the 3-up invulnerable save guy won't be at the front. But we're not going to go too much into details of what you're facing. Let's assume, you're shrieking at this Death Star. Okay, so that's the power, and you've got to beat leadership 10. So that's what we've established. You don't need to hit, so it's good against anything at all. It's good against. Even Eldar are mostly leadership 8, with the heroes obviously being leadership 10 and some units in between being leadership 9. But most Eldar units are leadership 8, just like Space Marines, especially scat packs. If you can get closer to scat packs to shriek at them, they're going to die. So I know this video has been a bit all over the place now, but it's just because I'm excited about this proposition, and I know I'm a bit late on the bandwagon, but I'm excited because this, I can potentially see a new guard list I'm going to be taking to the tournament scene, which is going to be Imperial Guard blobs, backed up by a Librarian Conclave. Okay, we've got to fight fire with fire. Because why would you want the Librarian Conclave? Well, it's very simple. Librarian Conclave is a Space Marine formation. It's Tigerius, and a minimum of 3 other Librarians, as far as I'm aware. I'll be able to find it now. I've got Space Marine Codex in front of me. And let's see if I can just find it now. Battle Demo. Manius Calgar. Come on, Librarian Conclave. Where are you? You might not be in the Space Marine Codex. There we go. So it's 3 to 5 Librarians. It's just 3 to 5 Librarians. Tigerius may be taken instead. And that's good. The bonus rules for it is Empiric Channeling. At the start of the Psychic phase, you can nominate 1 Librarian from this formation. If you do this, the nominated Librarian has access to any Psychic powers known by the other Librarians from this formation within 12 inches until the end of the phase. However, other Librarians in this formation within 12 inches of the nominated Librarian cannot manifest Psychic powers until the end of the phase. Furthermore, when the nominated Librarian makes Psychic tests this phase, he will harness Warp Charge points on a 3+ rather than a 4+ if there is one other Librarian from this formation within 12 inches, or 2+ rather than a 4+ if there are 2 or more Librarians from this unit within 12 inches. So, most people take about 3 or 4 Librarians. They take Tigerius, and Space Marine Librarians have access to telepathy. So we no longer need our own Primaris Psychers. Unfortunately, they've gone the way of the dodo. I'm no longer willing to pay fucking 50 points for a 5+ save Psyker when I can pay 65 points for a 3+ save Psyker. Crazy as it may sound. A Primaris Psyker is level 2 is 75 points. A Librarian level 2 is 90 points. I mean, it's just no competition. I will pay 15 points to give my Primaris Psyker a 3-up save, +1 toughness, +1 strength, more initiative, more leadership, better weapon skill. I will gladly pay all that for 15 points. So forget about Primaris Psykers now. They can't do what we want. They can't shriek at people. We want shriek. So this is where we're going to get access to. We want to take the Librarian's Conclave because it means you don't have to take any of the tax units. You just want your 5 Librarians, 1 on each, or 3 or 4 Librarians. My personal recommendation would be, if to run this idea, would be to take maybe a CAD, or maybe either a CAD or an Emperor Shield Infantry Company. I'm going to go with CAD because you're going to want, if you face a lot of invisible Death Stars, or if you're going to be facing a lot of invisible Death Stars, you're going to want to take the CAD, and you're going to do is you're going to take Primaris, you're going to take 4 regular infantry blobs and give them all heavy weapons and special weapons, and then 3 or 4 conscript blobs. You just want to take as many infantry as you can get, 3 to 4 of each blob, and then you want to put a librarians everywhere. Maybe not in the conscripts they're expected to die, but let's say you've got 4 blobs, 4 librarians. Okay. And each librarian is level 2, and you want one. You're going to put 1 power as Prescience and 1 power as Psychic Shriek, every single one of them. Because maybe you'll face games where you don't need Psychic Shriek. If that's the case, you just Prescience everything. Bada bing, bada boom. So you're going to take 3 to 4 blobs of infantry, 3 to 4 blobs of conscripts, psychers in each main blob. Get yourself maybe, some warp charge batteries as well. Maybe take some astropaths in your command squads. You're going to be running 2 command squads anyway because you're going to want the orders. And what you're going to do is very simple. The Wolf Star is going to come at you, okay? And you are going to generate. Let's say you've just gone fucking max out. You're going to generate. Let's say you've got 4 psychers and 2 astropaths. You're going to generate 10 warp dice plus 3, 13 warp dice. Okay. 13 warp dice for each, and that's on. What you've got to remember is each one of the psychers from the Librarian's Conclave, if you keep them close enough, they're manifesting their powers on a 2-up. Holy macaroni. That means you can 2 dice or 1 dice every spell. All you're going to do is just going to go Librarian 1. Let's say you've got 4. Librarian 1, 2 dice, Psychic Shriek. Librarian 2, 2 dice, Psychic Shriek. Librarian 3, 2 dice, Psychic Shriek. Librarian 4, 2 dice, Psychic Shriek. All they've done there is the dice that they've generated themselves by being level 2, they've used. After that, you've got you've got 2 more warp dice from your 2 more warp dice from your astropaths, and plus the 3 that you've got bonus anyway. So you're going to have 5 more warp dice. So you just go 2 dice, Psychic Shriek. It's only a warp charge 1. Should get it off, even though you're manifesting on a 4+ with your psychers. And then you're going to go 3 dice on the last Psychic Shriek. Oh look, I just laid down 6 Psychic Shrieks in 1 turn. And you haven't even breached my conscript wall yet. And I'm going to do that every turn. Pro tip, take your conscript blobs in blobs of 30, not 40. The reason why I do this is you want your opponent to smash through the conscripts, wipe them out. Because then you get to shriek him next turn. If you take blobs of 40, he may stay in combat in your turn. Which means you won't be able to shriek him. As far as I'm aware. Correct me if I'm wrong, comments. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? But that's it. So I know this video's been all over the place. It's because I'm a bit excited. I'm going to recap now. Keep it nice. Keep this, under 50, under 20 minutes. Psychic Shriek. People are afraid of it. Pro tournament players, they may not show it, but they will always be scared of your Psychic Shriek now because it doesn't have to roll to hit. You want to. It's the spell itself. 18-inch range. Warp charge 1 makes it spammable. And the range shouldn't be an issue if you're facing off against Invisible Death Stars. So the spell itself, 3d6, which subtract the opponent's leadership. For every point you are above the opponent's leadership, you do a wound. That makes sense. So if you roll 16 on 3 dice, and your opponent's leadership 8, you do 8 wounds. They don't get armor saves or cover, but they do get invuln. Be aware of that. How we're going to use this as a guard player, how we're going to implement it, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to throw the Premier Psychers out the window. Overcosted, shit, don't have access to the powers we want. Instead, we're going to bring in our Librarian's Conclave, our Space Marine allies, okay? And what we're going to do, very simply, is we are going to make every single one of them level 2. We're going to take 3 or 4 of them. Hell, if you want to take 5, but then you're going to have less infantry, so I recommend 3 to 4. You're going to take 2 command squads with 2 astropaths as well, which means you're going to have a minimum of 10 warp dice. And your librarians, because they're in the conclave, most of the time they're going to be manifesting on 3-up or 2-up, and you are going to spam Psychic Shriek. 1 librarian each blob, recommended 3 to 4 blobs, recommended 3 to 4 librarians, recommended on top of that 3 to 4 blobs of conscripts. Keep the conscript blobs small, and that way when your Invisible Death Star comes chewing down, he'll chew himself out of combat, and you get to shriek him again. So, I hope this video is useful. Again, I apologise if it seems like I'm a bit scatterbrained in this video. I'm just excited. There's all these underlying things that are coming out in 40k at the moment that are just allowing guard to punch above their weight. Okay, I know a lot of, last little thing I'm going to say, I know a lot of guard players out there don't like using allies. I myself don't like using allies. Maybe ally and Inquisitor because that's fluffy. You know, maybe. But I know a lot of people struggle to use allies, but in a tournament setting, we have to do this, guys. We have to use every advantage we can get because, quite simply, other codexes are not going to... Other players, they don't have that same sense of honour as Guard players seem to have. Guard players seem to have an inherent sense of honour, and I'm going to do a video on that. And we have to use every advantage we can get because we are the underdogs, okay? We have to do everything we can to win. And if that means allying in some librarians, god damn it, that means allying in some librarians. If you need to sleep well at night, just use Primaris Psyker models. You know, just don't have to necessarily librarians. Just use the Primaris Psyker models. As long as it's obvious what they are, no one's going to complain. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope this video is useful. Apologies if it seems a bit haphazard and a bit scatterbrained, but I'm just excited for the prospects that we have now as the Guard. We've got another string to our bow, and it could be a game changer. Thank you.